Hello, Cancer. Here's your weekly horoscope for March 21 to March 27th. Well, as you and I both know, you tend to be an emotional sign. You have a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions and moods. Your sign is ruled by the moon, and it rules emotions in astrology. We start out with the week in Gemini, which is not so bad for you, but by Sunday we have the moon in your sign of Cancer until Tuesday. But that's going to be in conflict with the planet Pluto in Capricorn, and well, there's some Aries planets going on, so there could be what's created in the sky called a T-square, which is a very challenging aspect, and it might be more than one, and it's hitting your chart. So I don't like to be the bearer of difficult news, but I'm going to warn you that this week could be very, very challenging for you. There could be a number of things coming at you this week that you're going to have to deal with. So let's try to break them down one by one. First of all, when the moon is in Cancer, so from Sunday to Tuesday, your emotions are a lot more present. People see them and they feel them a lot more. Sometimes, being a cardinal sign, Cancer, you sometimes throw your emotions out at other people, or sometimes they throw them at you and you have to deal with it. Now, that's not fair because everybody should look after their own emotional health. But you are a sign that you do like to help, and you can very much be there for other people. You often work in a caring capacity in one field or another, for example, or you take care of other family members that no one else is taking care of. So issues around that, caring for others and how much that is balanced with them caring for you, those issues may come up this week with some of these aspects that I see. Now, with the sun moving into Aries, hey, isn't it great? We're in spring and we're going to get better weather. But Aries is a little bit challenging for your sign, Cancer. It does tend to indicate perhaps issues within the home and family. Now, it doesn't mean that they can't be resolved. It doesn't mean that there is even terrible issues. It just means that there are some things that need to be addressed. Now, very likely, because of the Saturn-Uranus square that we see and the Mars-Mercury square I'll talk about in a minute, well, these issues tend to arise relating to boundaries, people crossing boundaries, and more likely they've crossed your boundaries, but it could be that you've crossed theirs. So whatever or however it is, negotiating the way boundaries should be undertaken from this point going on is a very good idea. Now, as I said, sometimes, Cancer, you may take out your moods on other people. Pisces is famous for emotional blackmail, but that does not mean that you're immune to it either. And unfortunately, Mercury, the planet of communication, is in Pisces, and it's in conflict with Mars in Gemini. That's not a really great aspect for, well, peace. Because with Mercury square Mars, someone, you or the other person, or maybe both of you, may be more inclined to be irritable, more inclined to be moody, more inclined to demand having things your way. And you know what? There's a word called compromise, another one called negotiation, and these are the types of themes that you need to be looking at this week to avoid greater conflicts and greater unhappiness. Because believe me, when you don't feel happy, oh boy, that just takes over your whole life. So you want to be able to negotiate, to talk things over with people as you need, and the goal is to resolve them so that you and the other person can be happy. But this Mercury-Mars square and the Sun and Chiron in Aries, it brings up these issues. But you know, these issues could have been festering for a while, either within you or within someone else. And just like any other festering, say, infection in your body, that's not good. So it needs to be addressed. The other possibility sometimes with Mars and Gemini in your 12th house of health and hospitalization, with the square to Mercury, it could be that you might have an accident or some sort of injury. I say that only because with Mars in the 12th house, we're sometimes not focused on what's right in front of us. And in the sign of Gemini, we try to do too many things at once. We go off in two directions or such. When it's in a square to a very brooding Mercury in Pisces, potentially brooding Mercury in Pisces, well, that just tells me that there's a chance for all kinds of issues to come up around health or accidents or disagreements and conflicts. Now, you're not the only one dealing with this. Every sign is dealing with this to some degree this week. But for you, just because of where and how it's laid out in your horoscope, it may feel a lot more dark than it really is. So keep that in mind as well, that you will really need to be in control of your emotions this week. Sometimes matters are made worse because of our own emotional reaction to what happens. So I guess I'm trying to say, watch out. You may be reacting, other people may be reacting, and this is very challenging for you to be keeping your cool this week. Best I can tell you is this, though. The Neptune in Pisces is very kind to Cancer, and in the semi-sextile to Jupiter, that's an indication that if you're feeling upset, moody, there are certain things you can do to deal with that. One, look into healing your mind, mental, spiritual body in any way that you can. Prayer, meditation, sports and activities if that's your thing, art and creativity if that's your thing, but just find some way to ease all this emotion and all this potential conflict, Cancer, because you're the type of sign that when you get too emotionally distraught, sometimes injuries or ill health can come up. So it's really important for you to address your emotions this week. And I will even recommend, do not discount talking to a professional therapist or at least a very good friend and let your feelings out. But remember, you're going to be a little over emotional, so take it easy on your friends and family. A professional is better to deal with these kinds of things, so perhaps that's something you'll look into if you're really feeling overwhelmed by some of this stuff. Other than that, spring is here, good weather is coming, and the Mercury in Pisces can bring about the healing of a lot of things through communication for your sign. So I hope that the worst thing you can do is to clam up. Don't do that. Talk things over, try not to get into fights or disagreements, and remember, draw boundary lines where needed to, because with this Mercury-Mars square, those are the issues that can come up. I hope you have a much better week ahead than I've just talked about.